Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bearable Bull here. And I got this aggressively average content for you today, as we're right off the heels of the launch of FedNow. And that was a historic day for the history of the future financial system. Ladies and gentlemen, I've always stated FedNow was going to be a significant moment for the future of the digitalization of the payment system. And it 100% was. But there are some rumors and some pieces of information circulating that are not true that we need to discuss before we really get into the meat and potatoes for the day. First and foremost, FedNow is a domestic payment system in the United States and does not use XRP. Including XRP and FedNow transactions would actually add friction at this moment in time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's important to know that. We're not over here saying FedNow is using XRP because it's not. But some point down the road, there'll be a moment, like I stated in my Craig DeWitt interview, where cross-border payments could definitely be utilized with FedNow in the future. Right now it's not, but the future holds endless possibilities. In addition, we have Danelle Dixon, CEO of Stellar, stating FedNow's launch has received a lot of attention, especially from our industry. Is FedNow a crypto killer? Absolutely not. But she does believe this is a positive development for the crypto industry. And I can't stress that enough. We're continuously seeing more positive developments in our direction. The BlackRock Bitcoin ETF application, this XRP case coming to an end with the non-security designation, and with FedNow launching, we're seeing the perfect storm. Hey, even Mike Novogratz, a common Ripple hater, has stated this was a big win for Ripple. And when an Ethereum maxi is over here stating that, you better believe it's bigger than you thought.
Hey, Michael, I'm sure since so many folks in crypto land were following this decision related to Ripple, I wanted to get your thoughts and comments on it and whether you think it has any demonstrable impact in terms of how the SEC and how Congress and how others think about these things.
It has to force the Democrats, the White House and Gensler to the table to start negotiating fair rules. Like it was just.
Was this a win? I mean, maybe we should explain for the audience, and maybe Michael, you probably do a better job than I can, what the decision was, because some people looked at that decision as a win for Ripple, and others said actually maybe it wasn't.
No, it was a big win for Ripple, and it was a big win for the crypto community. Like, let's not let Gary Gensler put lipstick on a pig. They lost, and they know it. And at best, the judge said, okay, now you're going to, if the SEC wants to litigate, you're going to have to litigate every token separately and every use of that token separately. And so the current status quo isn't going to work for the SEC. Listen, they could appeal. Appeals take a long time. We can stay in court for years. But I think the message that I want to give that is really clear was what Gary has been saying, that the rules are clear, just isn't true. It's not true at all. And that judge said that exactly, right? This is really complicated. We need regulation that makes things clear. And it's not that complicated.
It's hard to have a discussion about the markets these days without talking about crypto in some way, shape, or form. And you made an announcement today about pulling back in part of crypto. At the same time, you're going forward, for example, with BlackRock applying for an ETF. What does Nasdaq want to do with crypto, and what do you not want to do with crypto?
Yeah, so we do want to help really advance the ecosystem with our technology. We provide trading technology, surveillance technology, and then we also, of course, will work with BlackRock, Valkyrie, and others to bring tradable products onto our exchange so that the potential for there to be a Bitcoin ETF that allows for retail investors to kind of invest in the asset class through, a very resilient marketplace. I think, though, that as we thought about being an operator of a custodian solution, being a custodian in the U.S. market, we also do like to be able to operate in a pretty well-regulated environment and a well-understood regulatory framework. And right now, that regulatory framework's changing. So we decided to halt those efforts right now and really just focus in on the tech business and on the listings business.
So that's a fascinating point, because I have to ask, if and when the regulations get clarified, federal level, state level, does that mean at some point down the road you might reconsider and go into it more aggressively?
Well, we've actually built all the products. We're now productizing them to be able to sell to other market operators. The question is, would we at some point, become a market operator? I think it really depends on what the regulatory framework looks like. And we'll have to see how that goes. I think that'll take a while to shake out.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, isn't that so interesting? When they talk about a changing regulatory landscape, and also Mike Novogratz talking about how important the Ripple win was, something tells me we are going to be getting more favorable rulings, decisions, and potentially even laws passed by Congress. And we're about to talk about that in just a second. But first, I need to bring it back very quickly. Ladies and gentlemen, a couple days ago, I had my first collaboration with Blockchain Backer. And just a couple days before that, I had an interview with Waters Above Crypto. We are currently monitoring the price action of XRP in markets around the globe at the moment to see if XRP could be able to break out from where it is right now. But BC Backer posted this. The steam and the XRP price is beginning to dissipate. And while the range continues and range support is holding, the momentum has faded as far as the XRP price is concerned. We talked about in the video discussing the potential of XRP reaching a new all-time high as soon as even right now, that it needs to maintain this structure, and currently it has not. Right now, what I'm going to say to every single one of you is to maintain your emotions in check. Stay calm, stay grounded, stay reasonable. Everything is okay. You need to be at the edge of your seats, because I think something very important is going to come one way or another very, very soon. And at the end of the day, something that broke yesterday is that senators have introduced a bipartisan ban bill on stock ownership for executive and legislative branch office holders, as well as their families. They might as well call this the Nancy Pelosi Act. And the reason this is so important is because the Nasdaq and the Dow Jones have been on a rampage recently. And I've been telling every single one of you, I believe the top or the lights out moment for the stock market will be when Congress exits, when they pass a bill that allows them an excuse to exit on everyone near a top or at a new top. I think this could get passed, and that will signal to me when we're going to see a massive crash in the market. Just keep this in your minds as we continue, because off the heels of the SEC loss against Ripple, the SEC cannot continue to regulate by enforcement as being stated. The lawsuits filed against digital asset firms are not protecting the public and are stifling innovation. And there was a letter sent to Gary Gensler from Congress to stop doing what he's doing. Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Gensler also got grilled by Senator John Kennedy when he testified in front of the banking committee just the other day. And this just goes to show the hypocrisy and the lack of competence in Gary Gensler. Something tells me he has no idea how bad this situation is for him, but I think he's about to find out. Watch this clip all the way to the end, because I want all of you to see the ugly smirk on Gary Gensler's face when he realizes how bad he messed up. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearable Bull here. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. Now I'll be back tomorrow with another video.
Chairman, welcome. It's always good to see you, Senator. I enjoy our times in our private talks and in these hearing rooms. The feeling is mutual. Mr. Chairman, why did did you and the SEC allow the FTX fraud to happen? The crypto field is often one that is commingling and bundling services, as I said earlier, and often also offshore. And it is rife with abuses and fraud. It also takes time to thoughtfully and by the book and by the law build investigations and bring actions. There's a public figure, on average, about 23 months from start to either settlement or bringing an action at the SEC. We did bring actions over the course of the last 5 years on 150 companies, or
the cow was out the barn. I mean, I follow your remarks, Mr. Chairman, because I have great respect for you, and you've said repeatedly before FTX blew up that the SEC has the authority to regulate cryptocurrency. Now, here you have this company, FTX, run by a young man who has more zeal than wisdom. He prides himself looking like the fourth runner-up in a John Belushi lookalike contest. He prides himself on being underdressed and overhaired, reeks with arrogance. You could have sent down one investigator from the FTC with an ego like Mr. Bankman-Fried and said, I want to send someone down from the SEC and let them just watch you for a day. And he probably would have welcomed you in. I mean, his dad is a chaired professor at Stanford Law School. Where was Stanford? But where was the SEC? I mean, this was an accident waiting to happen. And I don't understand where the SEC was.
So, sir, I would say that the whole field has hurt more Americans than it should.
Yeah, but I'm talking about FTX. I mean, we look back at FTX. I mean, Senator Durbin made this point. And we have this elaborate, complex regulatory machinery, the SEC, which I support, which is supposed to guarantee transparency and combat fraud. And any fair-minded person has to look at FTX and Mr. Bankman-Fried and these kids and go, what in God's... Where was everybody? Where was the SEC?
And I would say where we were is my predecessor, and also under my honor to be chair, we've brought 140 or 150 actions. There are 15 to 20,000 tokens, and there are dozens of platforms.
But it was after the fact, Gary. I mean, here's this young man. He did everything but buy Mount Rushmore. Weren't y'all curious? Where's this guy getting this money?
I would say that in the summer of 2021, when we Wells noticed a very large crypto exchange in the U.S., they went on Twitter and said that we were sketchy. When we subpoenaed Do Kwon, this is all public, so I can say it. When we gave him a subpoena, he fought us in the district court. He fought us in the LA court.
But I'm not talking about how many lawyers can dance on the head of a pin. I'm talking about why didn't you send somebody down? I guarantee you, with his ego, Mr. Bankman-Fried would have welcomed you. Okay, he probably would have asked you to bring a film crew. You just send an investigator down, spend a half a day with these young people, come back, and go get an injunction. Shut them down until they can answer some very basic, fundamental questions. Like, for example, were they commingling funds? Why didn't we do that? Why didn't you do that? That's what we pay you folks to do.
Well, again,
I mean, I get all the Wells letter and all that. we've got tens of thousands of people that lost a lot of money. And they look at this young man and they go, how did the regulatory authorities allow this guy to function? I mean, his Secret Service name is Butthead. That's how bad he is. Where was the SEC?
And again, sir, I can't speak to one enforcement matter like that, but let me just broadly say
it's a big one.
This whole field, the whole crypto field, is built on models that we wouldn't allow in traditional securities markets of commingling. The commingling that you're
Then why
mentioning.
did you allow FTX?
And
Why did you allow FTX?
We investigate by the book. You, I'm sure, and the American public want us to follow the facts, follow the law, properly give people subpoenas. They get lawyered up. They give us replies. They do effectively burn clock, and on average,
You could have gotten an injunction, half a day. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Why do I hold XRP? Because Ripple's the chosen one to lead the new global digital payment system, and they use XRP. In 2013, the Federal Reserve began looking for faster payments options. 2 years later, an action plan was born and a federal payments task force was created. It included one company focused on crypto, Ripple. In 2014, the World Bank and Better Than Cash Alliance, which includes the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Clinton Global Initiative, and the governments of 32 countries, put out a report called The Opportunities of Digitizing Payments. 1 year later, the Better Than Cash Alliance featured one crypto company on their website, Ripple. Today, Better Than Cash Alliance and all other UN initiatives are focused on a single agenda, the Sustainable Development Goals for 2030. You can see the SDGs logo on Bill Gates' lapel, world-leading companies, the Better Than Cash Alliance website, and on the UN's official exchange, Exchange. What crypto is Exchange officially utilizing for their carbon credit solution? XRP. The world will move to a new international standard for exchanging electronic messages between financial institutions by 2025 called ISO 20022. Who was the first ISO 20022 member focused on distributed ledger technology? Ripple. Who's partnered with over 300 financial institutions, including Bank of America, American Express, PNC, Santander, SBI, HSBC, Standard Chartered Bank, Bank of England, India, Singapore, Scotland, Australia, and Indonesia, the largest banks in Japan, Canada, Egypt, the Middle East, United Arab Emirates, Thailand, Morocco, Bhutan, South Korea, Brazil, and Latin America? Ripple. Who is a former employee overseeing the Federal Reserve? Ripple. A former employee overseeing the world's largest asset manager, BlackRock's digital asset division? Ripple. Leading Australia's CBDC effort? Ripple. Who hired a former Treasury of the United States? Ripple. 2 former Federal Reserve attorneys to their board? Ripple. 2 former Clinton and Obama advisors? Former Minister of Defense and Economics of Germany? Former business director at Swift? Former Swift board member? Former CFO of PayPal? Former head of the DTCC? Former chief business officer at Uber? Former VP of Amazon and former SEC chair on their legal team? Ripple. Who's a member of the Digital Pound Foundation, Digital Dollar Project, Digital Euro Association, Mojaloop, IMF's high-level advisory board on fintech, Hyperledger Blockchain Consortium, Open Payments Coalition, Faster Payments Council, Global Payments Steering Group, Cross-Border Working Group, International Association for Trusted Blockchain Applications, Crypto Climate Accord, University Blockchain Initiative, World Wide Web Consortium, and a featured partner of the World Economic Forum with 3 members of their team directly listed on the WF website? Ripple. Now, does Ripple and XRP sound like they're going to disappear, or do they sound like they're part of a much bigger plan? You decide.